And the commentary is very short by our present Acharya, so we will complete this book today. And from tomorrow we'll be reading the book by His Holiness Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj about the third verse of Sixth Astakam. So I will read the translation of the verse 12. Becoming a follower of Sri Rupa and his companions, one who with a sweet voice loudly recite these 11 supreme verses, which give instructions to the mind and strives to understand all of their meanings completely, obtain the uncomparable joy of worshipping Sri Sri Radha Krishna in the forest of Gokul. So first we will read the commentary by His Holiness Sivaram Swami Maharaj. This verse tells us the summary or the result of reading the 11 verses of Simanaha Siksha. It indicates that one should be a Rupanuga, following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, regardless of how advanced one is or who one is. Everyone must follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. We should associate with those who share our taste or mood of devotional service. That practice is called Sajatyasu Snigdha Sadhu Sangha, Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 5:107 purport. We should be more compassionate to those who are less advanced, and we should bestow mercy on others to give them Krishna consciousness. We are concluding Manahasiksha, which is specifically meant for those devotees who are very serious about perfecting their human form of life and going back home, back to Godhead. These verses are the essence of Rupa Goswami's teachings and are especially valuable because they are coming down from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we have these verses, we should study them and meditate upon them and specifically practice all of these things. It's not enough that we simply hear and read. What we hear and read, we have to put it to practice. We have to practically understand the point of scriptures, point of philosophy, point of ras. One by one, we should try to put them points in practice in our day-to-day life, in our meditation, in our prayers, or in our chanting, in our hearing, in our relationship, and in our cultivation of devotional service. That's in the commentary by His Holiness Sivaram Swami Maharaj. Now, very short commentary by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. Let us make it simple. We should become a follower of Rupa Goswami and read his Updeshamrita. This will prepare us. It says we should reside in the forest of Gokul. Let us come to a secluded place within Braj and have a clear understanding of the hidden meaning there. We might ask if bhakti is that simple. It is. Narottam Das Thakur tells us that when we perform satsanga bhajan, Krishna consciousness will work for us. Be a mango now. We can only be a green mango, unripe, but we can join the mango club. Get the concepts right and the understanding right. Practice on our level of adhikar, ability, and we will then mature into beautiful and fragrant mangoes that will please the senses of Krishna. That's the end, the commentary by His Holiness Sachinanand Swami Maharaj. And now we will do all the commentary by Her Grace Urmila Devi Dasi. Raghunath Das Goswami followed the tradition of ending his work with a benediction. And what a benediction it is! Just by singing these verses daily with understanding and affectionate emotion, the singer can attain the jewel of loving service to the divine couple in Vrindavan. Let the reader imagine that mechanical, ritualized daily singing will lead to such a result. The emphasis is on emotion and understanding. It is only through application of these verses to one's own inner life that such emotion and understanding is truly possible. If we want to appreciate what it means to sing in a sweet voice, Madhurya Gira, this explanation of what is not sweet singing from Prabodhanand Saraswati's commentary to Gita Govinda 225 should be helpful. The fault of songs are mentioned by Bharat. Translation I'm going to read. The wise know a song is faulty when it is sung with uncertainty, fear, or unclear intonation. Inloudly nationalize with the voice of a crow while shaking the head without proper pitch in a disjointed manner with dissonance, unpleasantness, unevenness, confusion, and without tal. To fully realize the 12th verse benedictions, the singer of these verses should associate with like-minded person and live in Vrindavan. Ideally, like Das Goswami himself did for most of his life. One can physically live in Vrindavan with people who have similar goals, engaging in bhakti yoga together. However, if our service to Krishna or our life circumstances make such an arrangement impossible, we can infuse our consciousness with Vrindavan and create a network of like-minded people, even virtually. So this is the end of Sri Manohar Shiksha. I will read this, what Bhakti Vinod Thakur has to say about this book. Sri Manohar Shiksha has laid down a systematic procedure for one to enter into and become absorbed in the pastime of Sri Radha and Krishna. One should follow it without guile. Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It's a very wonderful book. Now we will be dwelling in the life of dear Srila Prabhupada, volume number 5. We are reading from the chapter number 2. No one listened to a poor man. I will read the last paragraph that we did yesterday, and we will continue. Prabhupada passed most of the flight debating with Madhudvaswami, who took the position of the impersonalist, and Prabhupada would always defeat him. This is how you become a preacher, Prabhupada said. You must be able to take both sides of the argument and defeat your adversary. This is what Lord Chaitanya would do. That's where we start. Since Prabhupada's first visit to Nairobi 4 months ago, Brahmananda Swami and a few American devotees has rented a house near the city. They had recruited some African devotees, but had not yet developed the temple and ashram, barely able to maintain their own simple program. They were unprepared to receive Srila Prabhupada properly. Typical of Prabhupada's stay in Nairobi was his arrival. No one was at the airport to meet him. The devotees were not even sure if Prabhupada was coming. Prabhupada's secretary had phoned Brahmananda Swami that Prabhupada was willing to come to Kenya, but that Brahmananda Swami should try to arrange a meeting with the president and schedule a big Pandal festival. Brahmananda Swami, however, had never received a clear message of when Prabhupada was coming. At the airport, Prabhupada and Madhukti Swami carefully put the Radha Krishna deity into a taxi cab and rode with them to the address of the ISKCON center. Prabhupada rang the doorbell, and when Brahmananda Swami opened the door and saw his spiritual master, he cried out, "Prabhupada," and bowed down. "What happened?" Prabhupada asked, standing beside Radha and Krishna. "Why no one come to pick us up at the airport?" Brahmananda Swami was unable to reply. No sooner did Prabhupada arrive than his assistants, Madhudvesh Swami, became bedridden with hepatitis. Prabhupada has left his regular secretary Shyam Sundar in India to work on a legal case concerning the Mayapur land. So he was now without a personal assistant. In Nairobi, Prabhupada followed his usual schedule of bathing in the afternoon and then putting on fresh clothes. But one day, after his bath, he found that no clothes were ready. When he asked for them, Brahmananda Swami explained that the African servant had washed them and put them on the line to dry. But when Brahmananda Swami had gone to get them, they hadn't been there. Apparently, someone had stolen them from the clothes line. Prabhupada tolerated the inconvenience without any display of any kind of emotion. That evening, when the devotees of ISKCON Nairobi gathered in the temple to hear Prabhupada speak from Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada saw the different items of stolen clothing on the African boys. One boy wore the kurta, another the top piece, and another dhoti. Prabhupada pointed this out to Brahmananda Swami, who immediately took the boys out and retrieved the clothing from them. When Brahmananda Swami returned the clothes, Prabhupada didn't seem to take the offense seriously, but only laughed. Very well. So Prabhupada did not laugh. However, at the Nairobi devotees' bad cooking, when they served him white maize mush, he called it pig food, and the hard white chickpeas, he said, were suitable only for horses. Then Hari Kripa, a black devotee from America, went to the kitchen, boiled some vegetables, and served them to Prabhupada without any spicing. Prabhupada called it a dog food. You are still an uneducated African, he told Hari Kripa. And he went into the kitchen to cook for himself. Although a dozen devotees joined him, watching him cook a complete meal of dal, rice, chapatis, and sabjis. He cooked enough for all the devotees, and everyone was satisfied. Bad cooking and stolen clothing, however, continued to be the problems during Prabhupada's week-long stay in Nairobi. Subramanianda Swami found that Prabhupada was mostly absorbed in his Bombay project. Quote, the only reason I have come, unquote, Srila Prabhupada told Brahmananda Swami, is to get you for this. Once he asked Brahmananda Swami, which is the most important city in India? Calcutta, Brahmananda replied. Calcutta? Prabhupada looked at him oddly. Don't you know Bombay is number one? Delhi is number two, and Calcutta is number three. Prabhupada encouraged Brahmananda Swami to return with him and take charge of the Bombay project. This Bombay project, he said, would be unique within ISKCON, incorporating the religions with the cultural in a gorgeous temple, international hotel, theater, and diorama exhibition. Seeing Prabhupada's strong desire, Brahmananda Maharaj agreed to somehow relinquish his Nairobi responsibilities to others and help in Bombay. In yet another way, Prabhupada's visit to Nairobi connected with his Bombay project. When Brahmananda Swami and Chavana showed Srila Prabhupada the Nairobi Hilton, a modern building with twin round towers, Prabhupada liked the design and wanted to give it to his architect for the Bombay Hotel and Temple. Prabhupada, Brahmananda Swami, Bhagwat, and an African devotees were walking in Nairobi's public gardens. On being introduced to Prabhupada, the African had inquired, quote, if I want to, can I get married? Oh yes, Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, the boy continued, if you want to get married in our community, the boy has to pay money to the father of the bride. This was exactly opposite the Vedic system. Prabhupada replied, wherein the father of the bride present a dowry to his son-in-law. Hearing this, Prabhupada's new disciple looked worried. He asked, then will you give me money when I want to get my wife? Because I'm not working now. I'm just working for you. When I want to get my wife, will you give me money? Prabhupada shook his head. Quote, You don't worry about all of this, he said. Whether you will get a wife or whether you will get money or this or that. Later on, when it is time for you to get married, I'll bring one American girl and you will marry her. Haribol. So wherever Prabhupada turned in his flagging Nairobi temple, he found neophyte disciples and discrepancies. Walking into the Brahmachari ashram, he found books, balls, and paint cans scattered about the room. When he said things should be kept more neatly and orderly, the temple commander, Hari Kripa, replied, Prabhupada, I try to tell them, but these boys don't listen to me. Prabhupada bent down and picked up some pieces of wood. Quote, if they don't do it, he said, then you should do it. Put this over here. And Prabhupada began engaging all the men present. Within 5 minutes, the room was neat. The World Hare Krishna Movement Festival at Nairobi City's stadium was a combination success and failure. Although Brahmananda Swami had managed to see many highly posted government officials and diplomats, many of whom had promised to attend the festival, none of them actually appeared, except for Mr. Y. Kumura, Kenya's Director of Education. But in audience of several hundreds attended Kirtan, heard Prabhupada speak, and took prasadam. Although the devotees has invited the leading Kenyan citizens to enhance the glorification of Krishna, their honored guest, Mr. Komura, used the opportunity to speak in praise of Kenya. Nevertheless, he spoke highly of Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness movement. Regarding Bhagavad Gita, he said, quote, your learned founder had made this great book available in the English tradition with an erudite commentary, unquote. Srila Prabhupada also attended other engagements in and around Nairobi. He told his Nairobi disciples that in preaching to the American, they should stress the chanting of Hare Krishna by holding public kirtan. Lord Chaitanya, he said, spoke philosophy only with learned scholars like Sanatan and Rupa Goswami, never with ordinary men. Just chant Hare Krishna, he said. This should be appreciated. Srila Prabhupada installed the deity of Radha Krishna and named the Nairobi temple Kirat Suddhi, a place for purifying aborigines. One day shortly after the deity installation, however, Prabhupada walked into the temple room and was shocked to find the deities out of their proper place in the center of the altar. Krishna was standing to the far left beside the bottom step leading up to the altar, and Radharani stood to the far right. Who has done this? Prabhupada called out loudly. Bhagavad came running into the temple room. He also was astonished. Who has put Radha and Krishna 10 miles apart? Prabhupada demanded. Quote, don't you know these things? How many times do I have to teach you? Haribol. Bhuta Bhavana suddenly appeared admitting that he was the culprit. Why are they so far apart? Prabhupada asked. I don't know, Srila Prabhupada, said Bhuta Bhavana. I guess I just forgot. I was being rushed to go to the festival. So, Prabhupada demanded, does that mean that they should be put out in the street? Bhuta Bhavan froze, unable to reply. Prabhupada relented, quote, take them and put them together, unquote, he said. They should not be moved more than 3 inches apart. Now do it nicely. After a week, Prabhupada left Nairobi and returned to the Bombay. When it comes to this together, or when we move the deities from old temple to the new in Houston, we make sure that the distance between Radha and Krishna remain the same. So we took all this as a measurement just to make sure that whichever way Tamal Krishna Maharaj installed that it should remain the same. And so we mark it down on the new altar. But for a few moments before we put to their positions, we put Radha and Krishna facing each other for a little while. And then we put it at the respective marked places. So we should be very, very careful. When it comes, I remember that the GBC were so worried because our deity is so huge, second largest to the Radha Madhava in Mayapur. So we have the uh, GBC team were there observing how much we are carrying when we move the deities, and they have constant video suggestions, and they wants to make sure that we move very nicely without any damage to the deities, because some temple before we were moving, they broke the leg of Krishna or Srimati Radharani, I don't remember. So they were very, very worried, but we took care of so nicely. I remember that when you enter in Houston temple through the 3 wood doors front, after the showroom, just to have a smooth move, we create the ramp, wooden ramp. That's like more than 100 feet long to rise about 2 feet. And then we have that cart that we received just night before that have the capacity to carry 1,200 pounds. And I remember that the welders were welding the steel base plate and couple of rods, 6 foot, 9 foot long, because there were 16 devotees who was carrying the deities at that time. And we also made one trial, putting 12 bags of 100-pound cement on, and on the top, they asked me to also stand on that cart for the trial, that the cart is strong enough. So we have to be very, very careful. We have to plan so nicely, and then you won't believe, like for 2 hours, the from the deity ministry, they were whoever was in charge of moving the 16 devotees. We have a meeting in the Pujari room, making all kind of prayers that the deity should accept the new place. So it's a very unique experience. So let's continue. After a week, Prabhupada left Nairobi and returned to Bombay. He had gone there to get Brahmananda Swami, and he had accomplished his mission. Quote, unless you agree to take charge, Prabhupada said. I could not go ahead and pay so much money. Now it is decided. He felt new hope. Prabhupada envisioned his Bombay project as extraordinary within ISKCON and even among all the temples of India. Many of the details of the project already existed within his mind, but he needed competent disciples to carry them out. He was still the lone leader of ISKCON, forging ahead to bring into reality new faces of the Krishna consciousness movement. His disciples were behind him, but it was always he who led. Even when he wanted his disciple as leader of the various ISKCON projects, they sometimes could not handle the responsibility. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada had gone to Nairobi in the mood of the Bengali aphorism he sometimes quoted, quote, if you want to accomplish a thing, do it by your own hand, unquote. So by his own hand, he had brought Brahmananda Swami from Nairobi to Bombay, and simultaneously he had benefited the devotees and the general populace of Nairobi. It is 6:54, perfect timing. Before the devotees leaves, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful devotees who take so much austerity despite their household responsibility. They join on time. So we deeply appreciate your commitment. So let's offer our humble obeisances by uttering the prayer. Vanchu kalpatarubhasya kipasindhavaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaisnavebhyo namo namaha. So thank you very much. There is no word to appreciate everybody's effort, and my holy name engages very nicely. We have completed the book Manaha Siksha. We should meditate dwell and physically or mentally we should reside in Vrindavan and follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami and always find the like-minded devotees. This is extremely important if you want to advance in spiritual life. This is a very nice criteria we should follow, otherwise it would be difficult. So you need to search out from inner expression, whatever it may be, beg the mercy of Guru and Krishna to find the like-minded devotees, and then have a wonderful, loving relationship with them, and try to observe whatever Acharya has left those instructions for us to follow. So thank you very much. I will not take up any more time. I'll